I want to tell you why we need a new library and ask for your yes vote. Have you ever had a fondness for a place that you knew that you had to leave at some point and move on? Well, that's exactly the situation we find with the current library. Some people say they can't imagine the library in any other place in the present location. And I tell them that I share that fondness, but the facts dictate that we move on to a new location. Fact. Our present library does not meet the code in so many ways that I can hardly list them all. And people say, well, why don't you just renovate the existing library? And we have looked into that very carefully. Consultants tell us that it will cost between $5.5 and $6 million just to try to bring the building up to code, and it will still have many deficiencies that are not correctable. Also, we'd have to move into a warehouse or portables for approximately 18 to 24 months and pay for 2 moves. So we spend millions of dollars and still have a bad solution. Fact. If any of you were to be in our library and have a health issue on the 2nd or 3rd floors, we don't have a good way to get you down to the 1st floor and out to an ambulance. Our elevator is not big enough to get a gurney in. Fact. The stairs in our library are so steep that every time I go up and down them, I cringe thinking about a child or older person falling down the stairs. And in fact, several months ago, we had a lady fall down the stairs and crack several ribs and suffer a concussion. Fact. Most of our bathrooms do not meet ADA standards. If we try to renovate the building, all of these bathrooms will have to be brought up to current ADA standards. And I tell you, our bathrooms are awful. Fact. We are very deficient on parking and do not have all the parking spaces required by city code. Many times during the day, there are no parking spaces in the parking lot. Even if we fix up the building, we would be short parking spaces for a building that would probably attract more people. Fact. Tutors complain that there is no quiet space left to help children in need. All of the rooms have been taken over by other needs. Fact. Our library shortchanges our children. I can tell you that firsthand because I've gotten calls at home from mothers who say, I'm just calling to tell you how disappointed I am and how heartbroken my child is. We went into the library and my child went to the children's section to get their favorite book to read and found out their favorite book is gone. And I say, ma'am, do you know that our children's section is bursting at the seams and has been for years and we can't enlarge it? We have no choice but every so often to go through and put new books in and take old books out, and I'm very sorry. Fact. Children use the library differently than older people. We had an event recently where about 200 young people showed up with their devices and tried to find places to plug them in. There were extension cords everywhere, and when they plugged them in, it blew the circuits. We don't have enough power in the building. We literally have situations where in some parts of the building you can't run our computers and plug the coffee pot in at the same time without blowing the circuits. In order to get enough power, we basically have to tear the building apart. Fact. Everybody loved our coffee shop on the 1st floor of the library, but ultimately we found it violated the city code because there's no sink and no running water to the coffee shop. And there's no good way to replumb the building so we can put that coffee shop back on the 1st floor. Fact. You can't move things around in our present library to fulfill the needs because most of the walls are load-bearing walls. New libraries are big, flexible boxes with lots of technology and lots of power so that departments can get larger or smaller as demand changes over the years. Our library won't accommodate that, and our patrons suffer. Fact. Our library was built at a time when no one had any ideas about all the new technology that was going to explode in the 1990s and thereafter. Think what an explosion of devices and knowledge have occurred in the last 20 years, long after our library was built and wired. Technology has left our library behind. What will a new library offer? A new library will be a fantastic new learning, knowledge, and information center of the community. A new library will have much more room for children, tweens, and teens that we are so badly shortchanging. A new library will have quiet tutoring space for children who need additional help but can't find a quiet place to be tutored in our existing library. A new library will have a state-of-the-art Skype lab where librarians can help you set up a meeting with people a long distance away, perhaps like your children or grandchildren. A new library will have lots of computers and so many outlets and power that it will accommodate all of the needs and devices that anyone could bring to the library. A new library will be open and flexible and easily changeable as needs change in the future. A new library will have expanded meeting space so that people in groups who want to meet at the library can do so that cannot now meet in our small community room. A new library will become the living room of the community, and there will be space for book clubs and other groups to meet. A new library will have an advanced technology center with a 3D printer and other new technological devices where you can not only come to the library to acquire knowledge, but to create knowledge. And yes, the new library will have that coffee shop that we today associate with bookstores and libraries. These are just a few of the things that a new library will offer and that I can explain in this short video. The process to get us to this point has been exemplary. The city and library set up a task force that unanimously came to the view that we can't make the old library work. At the same time, the city was telling us that the Civic Center is becoming an increasing maintenance burden and that would ultimately result in the need to build a new Civic Center. So the plan developed to build a new library civic center and much needed parking. The task force studied this matter for over 1 year. Many public forums were held and much public input was received. The task force presented 2 reports to the City Commission, which together total approximately 250 pages of detailed analysis of needs and costs. These reports are contained on the city's website and on the library's website at wppl.org. Please take a look at those reports. By the numbers, the city has more than enough parkland to meet its own comprehensive plan. In fact, the new complex almost fits on the existing Civic Center site, taking only 1% more land. We are going to invest in the health and vitality of Martin Luther King Jr. Park and make it even better. This will be a beautiful complex that will match the character and scale and sustainability of our city. Also, the task force learned that 1 in 4 new libraries are actually being built in parks because of the natural synergies. The park provides a pastoral setting for the library, and the library brings people to the park. So they actually enhance each other. All of these needs and costs of the project are detailed at great length in the reports that have been filed with the city. And the City Commission voted unanimously 5-0 to approve going forward with the project. So the process to arrive at this point has been open and detailed and can be trusted. Now, this is Winter Park, and there are always some detractors. A few detractors have been bandying around wild numbers, claiming that this complex is going to cost $80 million and then later $70 million. These numbers are fantasy. The correct numbers in the task force report have been checked and double-checked by the task force, the city manager, the finance director for the city, and the city's architects in appropriate cases. I again urge you to read those reports. People all over the world know about Winter Park, and they know that it is an exceptional place. But we are not keeping up in terms of our library. All of our citizens deserve a library that is technologically current and is built in a way that can be kept technologically current in the future. An exceptional city deserves an exceptional library to capture all that the future will bring.